Hello there, how you doing? Jeff D, AIMCBizSolutions.com for our marketing tip of the week. So I'm gonna throw a little scenario at you. Have you ever been to a networking event and you meet somebody at the event and they just go on and on and on about what they do and what they offer, without even sometimes even asking what your name? Now, personally, I've been networking for forever, and I've met countless people. They're awesome people. They're smart, articulate, and all. But when it comes to networking, and it comes to their approach, it needs a little bit of work. And chances are, especially if somebody's new, especially in sales, or if they're not used to sales, they don't like sales, and they're always told to get that elevator pitch rock solid, that 30 second, that 60 second, in some cases that 20-minute pitch, and get it solid. So when you meet somebody at an event, you can get their numbers and get some deals and get their business cards and all that. Ditch the pitch. Ditch the friggin' pitch. Seriously, especially when it comes to networking, especially when it comes to when you meet people at an event, an expo, or wherever, and just simply look at somebody like they're human. It's really key. Two things. Think of somebody that you talk to who's human, and think about stories, right? So always think, first tip I always say, ditching the pitch is think conversation, not presentation. We are not doing a PowerPoint presentation to each other. I've seen it many times. I was ditched one day. Some guy was talking about some construction material he came out with. I have nothing to do with construction. I have no idea. That's great. It's awesome what you did, but I don't really care, honestly, right? So always want to think about conversation when you meet somebody at an event. Think of them as a human. Ask some non-work questions initially, right? Figure out what's going on. What I mean by that is, ask pointed questions. What I love to always suggest to folks is instead of having a presentation with bullets, make them questions. You know, do you want to lose weight if you're a health and wellness person? Or are you having trouble building revenue in your business? Tell me more. Tell me a little bit about you and your business and what's going on. Is your website working? How is it generating leads for you? Ask the question. Don't say, hey, I'm great at building websites and I'm great at lead generation. How do I know you need to do that, right? So, you want to figure out what's going on. That's a big tip there. And you want to ask those pointed questions and go with the flow. Make it natural. Make it a natural conversation back and forth. When you meet somebody at an event, you should not talk more than 10 to 15 seconds at a time. Pause, ask a question, they give you feedback, and then it's a dialogue. A dialogue in an event's really key because you want to go with the flow and focus on that conversation. And eventually, at the end of the meet, there is the merge stories. Somebody could bring up a problem, right? And then you may come up with a story or a fact that, hey, I solved this for somebody else and I did X, Y, Z. And you know what's going to happen there? They're going to listen to you because you've already identified and merged your stories together. Somebody's saying they have this issue or problem or scenario, and you're coming out with something that will help them. And you're going to do a lot better. Now, not to say, I know a lot of, and I meet so many people networking. They're like it's like transactions. Oh, there's no synergies here. Ask the person for a referral. Talk about it a little bit. Talk about your story, and then just say, hey, it was great to meet you. Let's stay connected. You know what I do. I know what you do. I know your pain, and move on. Right? And that is it. That is the tip of the week. Ditch that pitch. You don't, because pitches make you nervous, and you know it. When you're at an event and you go to do a pitch, it's just have fun, be social, have a conversation, solve each other's problems, and you'll have a great time and you'll be successful in your business. Have a good day. Jeff D, AMCBizSolutions.com.